Hey, hey, hey. Welcome, Rise and Thrivers. It is a new month, and it is the first Monday of August 5th, 2024. It is 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and welcome to Rise and Thrive Together. So, before we get into this exciting new month and our new topic and theme, let me just share with you what Rise and Thrive Together is about. We are a vibrant community and we are committed to educate and empower you to get the results that you want through real talk by taking some real actions so that you can have the real results that you want for yourself and your life now. And I am super excited just to jump right in. Start my sis, Dr. Raquel Stuart. Hello, hello.
I almost said good morning.
Ooh, good morning. It could be
Yay!
whoever's watching, good morning to them.
Very true. But hey, what's going on? Hi, Rise and Thrivers. How are you? Hope you are having or had a great Monday. I uh I had a nap today. I have to share that. I do not nap. So I had a long last week was a long week, and then yesterday had an event, and I did not realize how tired I was. I was
Mm,
grading assignments today, and this is how it went. And I'm like, okay, I guess I should go take it. And I took a nap, and it was so great.
mm.
Absolutely enjoyed it. Then got up, had a burst of energy, woke up, and made some dinner. And now I'm here on the show, but my eyes are feeling heavy. And I'm like, maybe it's time for another nap.
Oh,
But
it's
how are
so
you,
perfect.
sis?
Well, it just
How's
goes
your
a
weekend?
great. Yeah, it just goes perfectly with our theme, right? Like we have got this special theme this month, and we're just gonna like head right into that, right? Because we are gonna let you know that this month we've got a lot of great stuff happening. So I hope you guys stick
Yeah.
around for the month. It is episode 66, and the topic is prioritizing, which I think I spelled wrong, your life. I'm missing the I, so I will fix that. But yeah, and I love it because I think you gave the perfect example. I don't even think without even really realizing it. This is a great topic. Um, and specifically, Raquel and I talk about this all the time. Like, what are we doing? And, you know, we're winding down. And specifically here in Florida, our summer is always summer, right? But we're winding down for our summer. School is next week, sis. Next week,
Wow.
next Monday for all of the public schools here in Florida is next Monday. So we're winding down for the summer. We're gearing up toward, you know, the if we're on vacation mode and you've got kids or whatever you're at, even like I was trying to reach people today for certain things and people like, no, they're not responding because it's summer, right? For some people, it's like we take off this time, some more vacation time than usual. And it's an opportunity to really look at as we're finishing the third quarter. We're going into that fourth quarter coming up real soon. And starting to look at those goals. And I think priority is the word. So with you sharing about, that nap, it's like you made that a priority.
Or
Because
it made me a priority. Take your pick, because I know my priority was to grade, and then all of a sudden my eyes got heavy, and sleep was like, no, I'm a priority. So let's get to it. That's hilarious. Hmm.
love
But
it.
I'm excited about this topic because, and I'll throw this question out to the audience. How many of you prioritize your life? And what does that mean? Now, when we were backstage, Reg was telling me about something she read, and it was super, super interesting. And I'd like you to share it with our audience as they think and type about prioritizing your life. And what does that mean, to prioritize your life? Because we all think we do it, but
Mm.
do we really? I mean, prioritize your life, not everything I've got to do, right? So there's a difference, and we'll get into that. But I want you to read what you were telling me about in the back.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we do our homework around this, and we didn't get a chance because we both had busy schedules this week. And I was just sharing with Raquel that I found this amazing article called Priorities and the One Sentence That Might Change Your Life for the Better. Now, why I say that might? Because nobody is going to turn around and say that will. Big part of our show, right? Is it's your words, your reality, your perception. So we're providing this other perception that might just impact your life for the better. And she was writing about how a lot of times, like, for example, somebody invited her somewhere, and usually she says out of her mouth, I can't make it, like, I don't have time for that right now. I can't make it right now. Very kind of like, just don't have time for that. And just a shift in the words, just a shift in those words that then shifted her energy, which was, yeah, I'm not making that party because it's not a priority right now.
Hmm.
And that was like really interesting. So, like when we look at that word priority, right? It's something that matters to you. And throughout the article, it talks about what, when you have a ton of things that you want, a ton of things that matter to you. I've got this show, but I also got this party, and I got my daughter, and I got grades to, like, do. Like, all of these things are priorities. But what you said was really interesting, which kind of led into the article later on, is if you're not really learning how to manage and balance that, and especially energy wise, body wise, will make that choice for you. And it may not be exactly the choice that you want. And that happens to a lot of us. We push ourselves. I was talking to a really good friend of mine, you know her well, and it was, working through sick. I mean, really sick. Like, I could hear it on the phone, like, working through the sickness and the sickness and the sickness and the sickness, and all of a sudden, dead stop. Rather than prioritizing that, that conversation of, I'm going to take off today. Now I'm going to lose some money, right? It's going to, you know, lose some money because it's not, we're entrepreneurs. And so everything comes from based on that day. But is losing, that one day to rest and take care of yourself, if you don't continue to do that, you might be out for 2 days, a week, a month, and for some people, a long time. And I even happened at my chiropractor today that somebody waited for something for 8 years, 8 years. And then finally it was like, oh, I'll go. And now it's 12 weeks of work missing, 12 weeks of, all of these things to heal because they waited so long, and it's going to even take them longer. So really looking at having you look and have, what's what I'm looking for, really being the one to be responsible and hold yourself accountable, and really take action in that rather than letting the circumstances kind of take over for you. So that
Hmm.
was some of the things. And the second part of that was really talking about how throughout our lives our priorities might be, like they continue to grow and change. Like when you're younger, like when you're with your friends, and you're especially like high school and college, you want to hang with your friends and be with your friends. But then, like, the older you get in this point of your life, that priority might not be with, like, sure, we love to be with our friends, but the second part of our life might be with, for me, like, having the relationship, and being a mom, and and having all of that that comes into that, and weaving into that next level of what I want for my job, and later on in life might be the health and the well-being because we're getting older. But we
Right.
kind of box them, and the article really ends with, we box them rather than weaving them into an overall part of our overall well-being priority. And some of them might, it's just a constant, I like to say weave rather than balance. I really like to say how we can weave it, and work together. So there are times I'm not going to hang with my friends, right? It's just not, like, doesn't mean we don't love each other. How many times have you and I had the show, right? and can't make it. This is this. That's the priority. Doesn't mean I'm not part of the show. It doesn't mean that we don't have this business going on. We don't have anything, but we know and we communicate and we make that happen. So it was a really interesting article, a lot more to it, and a lot more we'll get into it during the month. But that's what I wanted to share with you guys and hear what you hear, sis, and hear what anybody else says inside of, where are you in the priorities of your life and how's it or do you have priorities?
Right. So I found several quotes, and one of them kind of blends with what the article was talking about, and you were summarizing it for us. And that is, the key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities.
Oh, I love it.
Now, how many of us do that? And not just once, how many of us are consistent with it? I know for me, there are days I'll put a lot of stuff on my schedule that I'd like to get done. And if I don't beat myself up about it. What I try to focus on is the key, or what I prioritize to get done. Because some things can be pushed to the next day. But it is to schedule your priorities. In order to schedule your priorities, I think we need to know what our priorities are. It's hard to schedule something and I don't know, well, what's really a priority? If you guys have been here long enough, or if you're new to Rise and Thrive Together, one of my big priorities is my health. And not because there's something going on. I try to be proactive in certain areas of my life, or I actually not try. I get in action or for areas of my life that are a priority. And for me, this past year, it's been my health. And so when I say I'm scheduling my priorities, I schedule my classes, my kickboxing classes, strength training. If I'm doing a certain class like Tabata or Zumba, that's a priority for me. Nothing gets there. I am not compromising unless whatever I need to compromise with is a bigger priority. But
Boom.
my priority is my health, and I do those classes can fit. But you must, your priorities are. What is it that's non-negotiable? What is it that takes precedence over everything else? Here's an example. This past weekend, an organization that I volunteer with, we hosted a tea party. I invited all my friends, sent it out to friends who live near, who live far. Doesn't matter, you're my friend, I'm going to tell you. One young lady in particular, she schedules her Sundays are her self-care day. And she wrote me back and she said, "Thank you so much for the invitation." She said, "But Sundays are my self care and I do not negotiate or compromise that. I stick to it and nothing else gets in the way. But what I'm willing to do is I can purchase a ticket and whoever you think needs a ticket, or give it to whomever you want to."
Ooh.
Awesome. I respect that. She was not negotiating. There's no compromise. There's nothing other than Sunday is her self care day. And I totally respect that. Now, do you think that is a priority for her? Her self care is a priority and she schedules it. I'm going to ask the question, which I did, and I'm going to answer yes. It is not negotiable. And that's why I get up at 7 in the morning to go and do kickboxing. It's a priority for me. It is important that this gets done. And not just for today, but it's for my life. It's for somewhere in my future. Doing it now is benefiting me in my future. I don't have to wait until I have health problems then to do something. That's being reactive. I'm focused more on being proactive. And how do I do that in certain areas of my life that are important to me? So we want to know, how do you prioritize your life? Tell us how. What techniques do you use? Tips. And if you don't prioritize your life, why not? I'm going to ask the why question. It's a big part of
Yes.
who I am. It's just why? Why not? Why don't you think your life is a priority? So go ahead, sis.
No,
What do
you
you
said
think?
something really big as you were talking about this is part of the article where it says, you know, prioritizing tasks will help you narrow in on the granular day to day work you need to do in order to realize the bigger picture. And that's what I really heard when you were speaking about, like, because there's, I think when it comes to prioritizing, like, how do you even know how to prioritize if you don't even know what like that big, like kind of big picture is for you? Like what really matters to you? For those who've been watching the show for a long time or new to it, Raquel and I discussed our show started last May of 2023. When she said health was her commitment, it wasn't like I'm going to lose 60 pounds. It wasn't like, it was like I'm on this commitment. The big picture was transforming her health from where she was at that point and to continue to have that unfold and transform. And then there were all the actions and the steps and then the results that came out of that. And it's continuing to unfold. But the transformation, the overall goal was her words that came out of her mouth to say that I matter, that my body, my mind, and my soul matter, and I want to make a difference. And then the little granular things are I'll be losing weight. I'll be learning. If you, I mean, I'm just using as a perfect example because if you guys haven't watched the show, this is a woman who was like, I don't make bread. I don't make, use these vegetables. I don't, all these things that wasn't there are now there from everything. So that's like the bigger picture, right? So that's what I thought when you said that, and it was perfect when she wrote that. In order to realize the bigger picture, and that's what I
Mhm.
heard from you. And I think about that, for myself. Now, here's the really beautiful part about that. That was not one of health is always important to me, right? Health is always important to me, guys. I donated my kidney, so it's important. But I realize I don't always prioritize that because like I put other things first. But being in a conversation and being around people like Raquel, around my husband, around other people, it's now become such a part of my priority, like consciously. And I'm now stepping into that. So I shared, with Raquel last week. It's so much has transformed from her priority. I feel like everybody, right, should make that a priority, like should make that a priority. But I'll be honest, I didn't. I say it's important, but it really wasn't as important. And being in this conversation, I did not want something to happen to me to make it a priority. It is now
Mhm.
a priority in our family. I mean, Josh is even talking about I got a whole big box of stuff that I'm taking with us to our big trip. Because in the past, I go on vacation and say I was going to do it, but now I already have everything I need packed and ready to take on to our service mission. Every vitamin, every packet, everything is labeled for the 7 days we're away. In the past, I would have not done that. My health is my priority. So just because I'm going somewhere, and isn't that like, what's the word I'm looking for? I like can't find the word, but like that's such a contradiction, right? If I'm gonna, talk about it but not walk about it, like that's a contradiction. Well, I'll do it, but now these 7 days I forgot to pack it, or it's too annoying, or nope, it's non-negotiable. It's a non-negotiable. And I'm already packed. Even on top of that, I'm already packed a week ahead of that one thing before anything else. So that's the bigger picture, right? I want to be strong and well there and when I get home.
Right.
Yeah.
What are your priorities, guys, in your life? What's a
Ooh.
priority? And not as sometimes, if it's a priority, it's a priority all the time, right? But your priorities do change as we have different experiences, as we grow and learn more about who we are, they can shift. But we're talking about right here, right now. What's a priority for you? How do you prioritize your life? Yes, we're shifting and going into the fall, but some of us are not in the fall season of our life. We may be in the winter season where things are harsh, things are cold, things are barren, they're drying up. We may be in the winter season of our lives. even during those times and the different seasons of life that we're in, what's a priority and how do you prioritize your life? Because, yes, even when you're going through those cold winters and it is freezing and nothing is working and everything is drying, how do you prioritize your life through that? In spite of, because we have to go in with the understanding that it won't last always. So we have to continue and make it a practice and be committed and consistent to prioritizing our life. And if we are not committed and consistent, then all these other little things that are insignificant, when there's a crack, it'll seep through the crack. And then that insignificant thing we give priority and ignore the things that are really and truly items or people, places, things that we need to prioritize in our lives. Does that make sense?
It does. And this Mary brought something up, so it kind of shifts it, and I want to see what you'll say. Mary says, because you were saying, sometimes maybe, and she said sometimes it's a day by day, step by step that she learned through her husband's cancer journey. Right there's the shift. So we're not saying, Mary, right, that we don't shift our priorities, because this, taking care of your husband during the cancer journey. But I'm asking you, sis, of what you'd want to say around that, because there is this. Because I asked her, Mary, can you share what's a priority you have right now?
Mm-hmm.
I've been, you've been through it through your father. I've been through it through my mother. Things may shift, right? They may shift of while you're taking care of that person, but there is still a consistent sort of overlapping, priority of something that mattered to you, even while, because circumstances are always going to come up. Yes.
So let me first understand, what is Mary saying? Is she saying, what is she saying?
She said that sometimes priorities change day by day and
Okay,
step
there
by
it is. Sometimes it's day by day, step by step. I learned through my husband's cancer journey. What do you mean, Mary? That becomes my question. I think I know what you're trying to say, but I want to hear what you are really and truly saying. What is it that's sometimes a day by day? Priorities are a day by day? And how do you know? Because that doesn't sound like it's something you'll know ahead of time. That sounds like okay, it's happening and I've got to shift. But is that a priority still? And even as a caregiver, Reg and I were caregivers for our folks, our parents, and we still had to prioritize. You know what we had to prioritize, Mary? We had to prioritize us.
and here you
At
go.
the
Ready?
end of the
Go.
day, we as caregivers think that we are supposed to care give to others. And in doing so, we often forget to care give to ourselves. And I met an amazing woman yesterday at the tea. She's a grandmother of a friend. And she has been a caregiver for 25 plus years. And she admitted to me, I give care to others and I give nothing to me. She said, and now, even though I'm still caregiving, that's shifted. I now realize I have to care for myself. You, at the end of the day, are a priority. If you do, that's why it says prioritize your life, your life, because it's very, very difficult to prioritize someone else's life and make it our life. You still have to take care of yourself. And I get it.
And
I get taking care of yourself wasn't a priority. It never is with caregivers.
ready next.
It never is. But it so has to become a priority. You have to make yourself a priority. I don't care if you have kids. I don't care about none of that. If you are not a priority, how are you going to be teaching your kids about being a priority? How are you going to be able to care for your loved one when they are ill if you are not a priority? You still have to take time and step back. And people forget about the caregivers. They're so focused on the person that's ill that they forget about the caregiver. But you, as a caregiver, cannot forget about yourself, not for one single solitary minute. And it is not selfish to do that, because
Exactly.
that's the issue that comes in, right? We say, but that's so selfish. They're sick. Yeah, but two sick people can't help each other.
Yep.
Does that make sense, Mary?
She said
If I'm
exactly.
I was like, if I'm far off, let me know. But if you don't make yourself a priority and schedule it, put it down. Schedule time for you, Mary. It said schedule your priority. You are a priority. Put it in the schedule. You know your husband's schedule, medication, whatever treatments, wherever he has to go, whatever that is, you know that ahead of time, right? Put yourself in there. And
I
don't fit in where you get in. No, you boldly kick that door and say, I'm here. I'm at 7 o'clock. Mary's gonna get up. Mary's gonna have blueberries and granola. I don't know what you're gonna have, but Mary, do something. And even if it's something that may seem so small, it is so important because that starts the cycle of, okay, so I started small today. It felt really good to have that blueberry and granola. Tomorrow, maybe I'll go and make it a bigger thing. And then maybe I can get out and go for a 10-minute walk. Do not discount the small things.
Yep. Mary writes, what you're saying resonates. It took me a long time to put myself first. And, it's
Yeah.
one of the things that is one of the, if somebody asked me what I wanted to talk about the most, is that because I have a free thing and I will share it with you all. It is called Creating Committed Time for Yourself. It is like Raquel has her talk on brokenness. That is my talk on creating committed time for yourself. And not, like she said, fitting yourself in. It is you and everything else that matters around that. Because like she was saying, we know our schedule, especially when we have loved ones that are sick, and what they're going through, or work, or, I have it all, right? I know where I am. But like it starts with me. And
Mm-hmm.
that gets, we talked about this a little bit last month, but where are you willing to get uncomfortable in your comfortability? Because if I truly want the life that I want, then if I'm used to just sleeping until I'm sleeping, until Lexi gets up, that's shifting a little bit of getting up an hour earlier. And that's really what that was. And I did not want that in the beginning. Did definitely not want that in the beginning. And now it's so, I like so look forward to it. That hour
Hmm.
prior, my hour prior for me, and everything that I do, that quiet time for me, that reflection time, that gratitude time, that coffee, all of that, that's my time. And then it's shifted later because guess what? Staying up until 11 or 12 o'clock wasn't good anymore because I was getting up earlier. So now it all balanced. It's like now I get, these beautiful 8 hours of sleep, and again, priority. Do I really need to you know, put on that TV show because I'm zoning out? And what is that about? Like I'm zoning out because I'm just so I haven't managed my energy. I haven't made me the priority. So we're going to dig deep into this a lot this month, guys. This isn't going to be a one and done. This is our whole entire month's theme, and while we get to be the priority of being service of others. And Raquel and I will be together in the Bahamas, ensuring us and the team that we're with to make sure that we're all taking care of ourselves so that we can be of the best service for others in the Bahamas. So good.
Here's something, and Mary, I'm going to ask that you just sit with this, right? And it's a quote. I learned that we can do anything, but we can't do everything, at least not at the same time.
I love it.
Okay, just sit with it. We don't need a comment or just, I want you we want you to just sit with that. Okay, because if we're into prioritizing our lives, I can do anything, but we can't do everything. And we can't be everything to someone, everybody else, and nothing to ourselves. That's me. That's not a quote.
Say that
Quote.
one more time because I want to
Which,
put that in there if people want to
which
read
one?
it. The last quote I can,
Oh, you can't be. Oh, I learned that we can do anything.
yeah.
I learned that we can do anything, but we can't do everything, at least not at the same time. So sit with that. Okay. Um, And if you don't know what's a priority or how to prioritize your life, that means you sit with it. You have to really not just marry everybody, ourselves included, Reg and I included. We have to
Oh,
sit with it. We have to sit and think about and do some introspection. What is a priority to me? Is sitting scrolling through Facebook a priority? Do we put that on our schedule? Is it, you know what I've discovered? I discovered because I was looking for ideas to make this tea party that's like so great and decorative ideas and food ideas and make it pretty. And I had realized I spent a whole lot of daggone time scrolling through reels or whatever you call them. That wasn't the priority. Yes, I was doing it for a purpose, but the scrolling was not a priority. You know why? And I'll share this with you. It took me away from something else that really was a priority that I needed to work on. So just so quickly like this, we can get distracted from our priorities, even though the priority was listed in my planner because I'm still old school, y'all. I'm trying to do the technology and I do it sometimes, but I am not consistent. Why am I not consistent? Because it is not a what? Priority.
priority.
Not a priority for me to put my calendar on my phone or my watch so that it dings and pings all the time. It is not a priority. And that's why I'm not consistent with it. But writing my planner, I'm really consistent with that. Does that make it clear? And it's just something simple. Let's not complicate this. Let's
Yeah.
understand what is a priority. Some of us, our family is our priority. Got it. Awesome. I understand it. I do. But we can say it's a priority and then we not do it. Right? So if your family is really and truly a priority to you, put it where it matters. Put them on your schedule. My pastor used to schedule, and he probably still does, schedules his wife. He puts his wife on his calendar because if he doesn't, he's pulled in so many different directions. He may not spend time with her. So he puts her on his calendar, and I think that's just the cutest thing.
I love it because I have
She's a priority,
literally, I have it in my phone. It says creating committed time of joy with Josh.
right?
And it is on my phone and it dings. And that is the time that we connect. And sometimes, like in general, it's not that he's sleeping or whatever it is, but it's there every single day. We are aware of it. We know that that's the time. And then we're in communication. So none of it becomes like, and I remember my coach, when my first coach did that, she showed me and she's like, oh, we create. And I'm like, that's so weird, right? In the beginning, I'm like, what do you mean you're like putting a talk? And we have these dates, we have these specific, that is time. So we're not talking about like, oh, we're going to now talk about the day and what happens in business. That is like decompress our time to connect, whatever that is for us. It is not time for business because we have that in our calendar. We have 2 days a week, specific hour of business talk. And
Right.
I know that for many of you that's like, huh, right? But I get what your pastor's saying, and it's really a game changer for our relationship. And I'll be honest, it's not always great because I've broken it, he's broken it, and then it becomes a conversation of, what's happening here? Like, really, what's happening here that we keep on, you know, oh, you got a client and you got a client and you got a client. Money isn't everything, clients are, and if we know it, I'm clear that client can, fit somewhere else in that schedule, right? So I really thanks for bringing that up. It's a great reminder, and we keep on looking at that. So it's a new month, and we look at our calendar and we see what works, what doesn't work, and then we see if we need to shift that day, shift that time, like that. So yay! I feel like yay for your pastor. Like, I'm right with
And
you.
Mary, the reality is that you rock because you were able to commit to your husband. And that's absolutely to be commended. And now you're learning how to commit to you. And you rock because you're a caregiver, which is not an easy thing. I know Reg knows, a lot of our listeners, they know this firsthand. Caregiving is hours are long, pay is zero. But
Mm.
it's really not. When people think pay, they think in monetary payment. But the payment is you get to spend time with your loved one that if they were not in this situation, we probably wouldn't spend as much time. And that's payment, right? Um, Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue this conversation on prioritizing your life because it is super important as we go into on the calendar the fall season. But as I said, we're going to have a conversation on seasons of life because I know I am not in the fall. I am definitely in winter, but I am smiling through it and enjoying the experience because I know there's a lesson there and it doesn't last always. Okay? So, as we always love to say, we appreciate you all so much for tuning in and for supporting us. And I do want to say this, if you want to be a guest on our show, reach out to us. Send us an email at info@riseandthrivetogether.com. If you want to be at the show, you want to sponsor us, or you just want to shout us out and say, hey, ladies, what's up? We're good with that. Okay? Email us. If you definitely want to be a guest, please fill out that form. Contact us info@riseandthrivetogether.com. Check out our website. You'll see the link for the to be a guest on our show. It's riseandthrivetogether.com. Real simple, real easy. You don't have to think too hard about it. And as always, we appreciate you so much. And remember, together we can rise and thrive. Till next time.
All right. I'm a little